Well, welcome everybody. Happy New Year. We are super excited today to have Chris with us. He is a digital marketing and branding expert for the beauty industry. He travels teaching up and coming as well as seasoned beauty professionals how to build their brands. And when he's not traveling, he's also running a 35-person marketing agency as its CEO. So, welcome, Chris. We are excited to have you here today.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
So talk a little bit about your journey and how you got into the digital marketing and branding field.
Yeah, I guess it just starts back in college when you don't know what you're doing and you change your major three times. um, I had high aspirations of law school, and then I ended up doing marketing, and mostly because I was into sales, and I thought marketing would have been really fun, and it was fun. So I studied it in college and graduated in 2008. And my brother had actually started a marketing company at that same time, and so I joined on as an unpaid intern for my last semester in school, and then I started out doing Google AdWords back in the day. And my brother and his business partner, they were just sales guys, and so I started doing that type of marketing for just all sorts of different companies, and then did some SEO, search engine optimization, some account management, some sales, and then my brother and his business partner sold the company. I would say probably 7 years ago now, and I was part of the acquisition. I stayed, and but in 2011, we had worked with a couple beauty schools actually, and beauty schools have a salon inside the school, and we did some social media for one school. We ran a campaign, and it was just wildly successful. And we were able to get the school, I don't know how many thousands of followers, but several leads and enrollments, and it was just really a lot of fun. And so I thought, man, if we could do this for one beauty school, we could do this for any beauty school. And so we researched, what was a big national association for beauty schools and people to be a part of. And so we figured it was the American Association of Cosmetology Schools, and so I presented at their annual conference in 2012. And at that conference, I met the marketing director of Paul Mitchell Schools, and that was in Orlando, Florida. And it just so happened to be that both of our offices were about 5 minutes apart, a 5 minute walk, back in Utah, where I'm from. And it kind of just seemed like the stars aligned. And so we started working with Paul Mitchell Schools on a national level, handling their social media marketing and just running campaigns. And it was really successful. That was supposed to be a 1 year contract. It turned into a 2 year deal. And JPMS, John Paul Mitchell Systems, came in and took over the marketing. And we thought, man, we have so much experience with beauty schools and their salons and just this whole beauty world, and had a lot of success. We thought, let's just specialize and make it easier on ourselves. And so that's what we did. And by 2015, we were just onboarding just tons of different beauty schools across the country and helping them build up their brands. And then naturally, beauty school owners own professional salons and spas too. And so we picked up those accounts, and just over the years of doing marketing with schools and students and the student salon and professional salons, we've just kind of made the beauty industry our home for marketing. And so that's kind of my background and experience and how I got into the whole beauty industry. So sorry, long-winded there.
That's so good, Chris. And, it's interesting because you're on the tangible portion of everything that a salon owner has to do. And so, but Sean and I are on the opposite end. We're like, okay, you can't have great marketing if you're a horrible leader, right? But I do want to stay on this marketing piece for a second. And obviously you do both. You're a leader, you're a CEO of your company, of several employees that you have. And so obviously you have to have leadership qualities. And I'm certain that you recognize good and bad leadership qualities in the leaders that you're leading as well too. So we'll stay on that as well too. But I've got to stay on this marketing piece for a second, because I know I have a lot of salon owners that ask us and say, hey, what should I be doing? And so what would you say right now in this climate right now, what's the best way to build your social media brand and what's the best bang for your buck, if you will? Is it Google ads, Facebook ads? What's your opinion on that, and what advice do you give?
Yeah. Well, I think something that's kind of always been true in marketing and branding is some of the best marketing you can do for yourself and branding you can have for yourself is to let other people do it for you. What I mean by that is, we need to talk about ourselves, and we do. That's good marketing. But when you can get other people to talk about you, that's so much more effective, because it's so much more believable what other people say about us than what we say about ourselves. And like, if you think about what a brand is, your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And so this comes down to user generated content. So when I meet with beauty professionals and up and coming beauty pros in schools, I really try to get them to understand this skill, and I call it getting awkward, because now our clients can talk about us naturally, and that's great if we have like good hard skills and soft skills, if we create a good experience for them. But we need to facilitate it. Like, we need to ask our clients to do things for us. And that can be an awkward conversation because we're afraid of rejection, right? But the most successful beauty professionals that I know, they hear the word no more than anybody else. Like, they ask more. It becomes just a numbers game. And so we've got to get awkward with our clients, not be awkward. There's a difference. But getting our clients to talk about us on their social media, that's the best form of marketing any brand can get. And if you look at just major brands, they're constantly trying to get people to talk about them and mention their brand. And in any analytics, when brand mentions go up, it's correlated with sales. And so I think that's such just a good skill that somebody in this industry, in the beauty industry, if they can be really good getting their clients to talk about them on any platform. And usually, good ones are Instagram for sure, because they're always going to be taking, some selfie of their new hair or new look or whatever. You need to get them to tag you in it and mention you in it, even get your face into that selfie as well, because, for a lot of beauty pros, this is their brand. And it's just about getting in front of eyeballs, in front of a targeted set of eyeballs. And so if we can get our clients to talk about us, that's just the best type of marketing we can do. Now, what's kind of always been true too is for any local business, like if you're running a shop or salon or spa, presence on Google still just dominates search. And when I say search, so many things are a search engine, right? Like Instagram is a search engine. Pinterest is a search engine. YouTube is a search engine. TikTok. But Google still dominates much of search, and people are looking for beauty services in Google. And for any local business, whether you're renting you're doing suite rental, now mind you, like, in order to have a presence on Google, you have to create a Google business profile or like a Google Maps listing. They just changed the name from Google My Business to Google Business Profile. And if you don't have one of those and you're on your own, you just go to business.google.com. It's free to create a listing. But a pro tip there is fill all of the information out. They ask you a bunch of questions like, hey, give me the history of your business. The main thing in filling it out is don't be lazy. Fill out all of the information, be as descriptive as possible. Remember, Google's about keywords, answering people's questions. And so they're going to say, hey, what are your services? Don't just list out, all the different names of the things that you do. Give it a description. And because the more keywords you put in there, the more likely you are to show up when somebody types in a question in Google. And so creating that listing, and if you want to create a listing, you have to be able to have an address that Google can send like a postcard to, because they need to verify that you're a legit business. And so what I see happen a lot is somebody's like renting a booth or a chair, somewhere, but they don't have their own like suite number. It's the building. They're not going to be able to create a Google business profile. But a trend that I see happening is the suite rentals, where you go in and you are renting your own suite, and you have your own door, you have your own address and suite number that mail can come to you directly. If you have one of those, you can create a Google business profile. If you work out of your home, you can create a Google business profile. And so creating one of those and making sure that it's optimized is super important for getting business from the internet. It's still very, very much relevant even outside of the social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook and now TikTok. And so a couple more pro tips on a Google business profile is one of the biggest things that you can do is, and this goes back to what I said earlier, getting people to talk about you, is getting Google reviews. Mm-hmm. Google reviews is still big. There's a high correlation of if you have a lot of Google reviews and you're getting them on a frequent basis, you're going to rank above your competition in Google. That's just what we see in all of the data with all of our clients that we're working with. So remember, you got to get Google reviews, get your clients to be descriptive in those reviews, because if they're talking about their service that you gave them, they're using keywords. Somebody might be searching these keywords, and then you could show up if people are talking about those keywords in a review on your profile. And I train a lot of people on how to ask for a review. There's no real special way. The best kind of skill that I kind of teach on asking for a review is, first you got to get the commitment, right? And you have to put the emphasis on you first of all. You don't have to give away anything. Like, hey, if you do this for me, I'll give you 10% off your next booking or whatever. What we have found is you don't have to give away anything. You don't have to incentivize for a review. All you have to do is ask, but you have to put the emphasis on you as a professional. And what I mean by that is if I got a client to leave me an online review, that would mean a lot to me, because I'm trying to build my brand, build my book of business. And if they did that for me, man, that would really help me. So we just need to communicate that to our clients. So put the emphasis on you, make it personal. And then when you ask for that review, they're not going to reject you, right? They're going to say, yeah, I want to do that for you. And when they do that, this is what I always teach. It just seems to work the best. You say, oh, thank you so much. Do you have your phone on you? And they say yes. And you say, let me show you how to do it. Because what's happening at that moment is you're getting that commitment, but you're making sure you actually get that review. Because a lot of people have good intentions. And they're like, yeah, I want to leave your review. And then they leave and they just never do. We've all been there. Mm-hmm. People are really motivated to leave reviews when they're pissed. It's the same thing as when somebody's mad, they're going to tell 10 times the amount of people as if they've had a good experience. So when we get that commitment, we say, awesome, let me show you how to do it on your phone. You walk them through the process and you just say, hey, just Google the name of the business. Here's the reviews, click on it. You see the 5 stars and then you get yourself a review. And then, I would set goals for myself. I would say, look, I would look at my competition and say, how many reviews do I have versus my close competitors here? And I would say, okay, I don't want just 10 more or 20 more. I want hundreds more reviews. And then set a goal on a monthly, say, hey, in 12 months, I'm going to be to this many reviews. So I'm going to be this much ahead of my competition. So how many reviews do I need to get a month? And just work backwards, right? Like, how many clients am I seeing on a monthly basis? Oh, that means I need to get 10% of my clients to leave me a review. And so just set a goal, write it down, and something that's easy to do as well is have like a mirror cling or a sticker or somewhere where clients can see where it says, "Love your service. Hey, leave me a Google review."
Mhm.
Just so that way it's like it's a visual for you to remember, but then also the clients and guests who see it, they're going to see it and be like, "Oh, cool." They're not going to leave you a review just by looking at it. But when you ask them, we've kind of preset them, right? It's not going to be a surprise, and they're like, "Oh yeah, okay, I saw the thing, and here we go." And the clients are now accustomed to being asked to do things. But again, you don't have to give anything away. If you want to give something away, do it after they left the review. They will actually have more affinity with your brand instead of doing it up front, which is interesting, right? Like they'll actually appreciate and like your brand more if you give them something after they've done something for you without giving them anything. If that makes sense. So um, those are just kind of like some foundational stuff that I've seen be really work really well and be successful in this industry. We worked with a salon in downtown Salt Lake City. And I show this in my trainings a lot. I track their phone calls and I put a tracking number on their Google Map listing and
Mhm.
then on the location page on their website. And they had several locations. So we were just working with one location. And they were getting about 220 phone calls a month. And then in 30 days, just after getting more Google reviews, and they had a lot of people working in there, there's probably 20 professionals working in there. After 30 days, they went from 220 phone calls just over 500. And then
Wow.
after 9 months of being consistent and getting more reviews, they're now getting between 800 and 900 phone calls a month.
Mhm.
And so the stuff just works. The data tells us that it works, and it works over and over and over. The thing is you have to be consistent, or else you might get in trouble with Google because Google has their algorithms, and if they see that like all of a sudden like you're not getting any reviews ever and then you start to make an effort and you just like do this blast to your network and you do really good and you get 50 reviews in 1 month and then you're like, well, that's it, that's all that I need, and you kind of give up, Google's gonna be like, that's not normal, and you might show it for a little bit, then it could hurt you. Like part of Google's algorithm is frequency of reviews, so it's important to once you start getting reviews, you always need to get them. It's like a lifestyle change, not a diet. Um,
Mhm.
and so, but the thing is we always need to be asking our clients to do things for us. And I think a lot of professionals get scared, like they're asking too much, right? Like you're asking for referrals, hopefully, and to, selling product and rebooked. And if you can mix in a marketing piece in there, like, hey, if you wouldn't mind mentioning me on your Instagram, or an online review, and you can switch it up and have some fun with it. And I think a lot of people will be surprised. Like your clients will be willing to do these things for you, but you just have to ask and make it personal, and you'll be successful. So another long-winded answer there, yeah. So
Yeah, I love the fact that you added it into keeping track of those numbers, and that's something we haven't done. So I know for sure we're going to start doing that. But what I love about it, because we track like service dollars, retail dollars, average service ticket. Now we need to add in the Google reviews in there and make it part of our constant dialogue, part of our system. Because our course that we teach, it starts in February, and we talk about foundation. So that's a foundational piece that needs to be added into your dialogue. So great advice. Thank you.
yeah.
Speaking of foundation, I wanted to have you touch a little bit about branding and building that brand and some steps that people can take, either somebody who's been in a salon for a long time, maybe just never really built their brand or built social media, or even the up and coming stylists that are in school transitioning into a salon. What are some steps to really set a solid foundation for building your brand?
Yeah, a mistake that I see a lot of up and coming beauty pros make is they're not consistent in their brand, in their branding. Like, as a really basic example, like take your social media handle. your app, whatever it is on Instagram. That's like different on all their different platforms. And so, just being consistent there is important, like having the exact same handle on all the different platforms. Um, and then, a lot of I get asked a lot by beauty professionals and up and coming people want to go out on their own. They're like, how do I? A lot of them lack like the skills of like, you know, how do I create a logo? They think they need a logo and a website, which that's important to a brand. Um, and so there are good places to kind of go to. You have like Fiverr, Fivrr, or 99 Designs, or Upwork even. Like there's tons of places out there where you can go and you can get professional logos designed for you for really cheap. What I see a lot of smart people do is for consistency is any kind of content that they produce, they always make sure that like they have like their logo, with them on all of their photos. Or you see a lot of the at so and so. So if it gets shared or screenshotted somewhere, or reposted, like their brands on it. But I think consistency is important. There's so many different like um, filters out there, like with just all the different platforms. And if you use filters, it can really kind of set the tone for your brand. Like if you're kind of a fun summer light feel, like make sure your filters reflect that. You don't want to have any kind of like darker kind of moody ones with a lot of shadows and stuff. Like you need to pay attention to those kind of small things. Um, and so, yeah, like filters can really affect, but just be consistent with your brand, your messaging, and how it looks and it feels. I think one thing that's fun and easy to do is to create like a theme on your Instagram where instead of it's just random posts everywhere, like be strategic about it. Like how if you were to go to somebody's feed, you can see, oh, there's a pattern here. And the pattern could be made up of reposting clients' posts about you, maybe screenshots of reviews that you've gotten for yourself, and then I would say your tutorial videos that you're doing, and just being consistent. That's like one theme that you can do. But yeah, I would say also to really build a brand, like your brand can be whatever it is, but if nobody knows about it, if you're not getting in front of anybody, you're not really a brand. And if you want to get in front of people, just got to be doing more video. Like you have to just put yourself out there and do more video. Now, when building a brand and building a business and wanting to get sales, people buy from people they trust. And so it's like, how do you build trust as a brand? Well, you just have to remember that givers get. And the more that you give on social media, the more that you're gonna get. That means followers, engagement, and clients in the end. Like, how much are you educating your audience? And so if you want to build a good, strong brand, like you need to be the authority voice in your area. Because if people are learning from you, you're building trust. And they think, man, that was really helpful. That was free information that you just gave me. You must know a lot more. And you must really know what you're talking about, right? Like you're building trust. And so a good brand knows that the more that they give, the more that they will get. And I mean, there's a formula that you can follow that we teach. So a good branding strategy on social media, and it's actually a good sales strategy because it builds trust, is splitting up your posts. So if you have 100% of your posts, I would break it up into the 70-20-10 formula. So that equals 100%. So what I mean by that is 70% of what you post on social media should be you giving away good, valuable, free information. Teaching your followers good, helpful things for free. And the majority of that should be video, right? Like putting ourselves out there, doing video. We're just going to get more engagement if we do video. And that means for a lot of people, they just have to get awkward, right? Like some people just don't like doing video. I'm going to take a drink real quick. So doing video is important. And luckily now the social media platforms have gotten smart that they have just built in like editing software. So you don't have to go buy Adobe stuff. Like you just do it all within the platform, which is cool. YouTube is going in that direction. So doing a lot of video, being helpful, educating, and a lot of professionals say, well, I don't know what to post. What do I talk about, And I always share my favorite quote from a great artist. Pablo Picasso said, good artists copy and great artists steal. And so a lot of beauty professionals are following other beauty professionals, right? And if you see somebody else do something that's cool, just recreate it and make it your own. Because the thing is your followers, they're probably not following a lot of beauty pros. And if you could take something, recreate it, and instruct them or teach them something that will be helpful for them, you're going to build trust. And so that's 70% of what you should be producing out there is just good, helpful content. So now 20%. So the 70, 20, 10, 20% of your posts should be you sharing other people's good content. Like you don't always have to be the one talking about things. Like if there's something else that's great out there, go ahead and share it. Talk about it. So if you think about it, that's 90% of all of the content you should be producing on your social media should be helpful, free, valuable information. And then if you've done that, then you've earned the right to ask for the business. That should be 10% of your posts. And those are the posts like, hey, I have openings, or come see me, I've got this special or this deal. That should only be 10%. And that's a good sales strategy. A lot of up and coming professionals that I see, they do it backwards. 90% of their posts is they're asking for the business. And the number one reason people unfollow brands on social media is too many promotional messages. Mm-hmm. And so you got to know these things, and you just have to be educational. We live in a world now where it's all about inbound marketing instead of outbound. Inbound is giving away good, free, valuable information, and then the inbound, you're bringing people inbound, and you just got to do it with free information. Right? You guys are doing this right now. You guys are doing podcasts, and you're going to put it out there and free content. And that's what you have to do to get your brand out there. And so on a small level, if you're brand new, you're just graduating school, or you've just started, or you want to go out on your own, just think about how you can be more educational. And I would say good brands know how to answer people's questions. And good brands know what their questions are, and they know what their concerns are. So if you have like a website, I would challenge you to look at your homepage and see how many concerns you're addressing on the homepage of your website. I bet most brands maybe are addressing one concern on their homepage. And so what I have a lot of brands do is just write 1 through 7 on a piece of paper or in your notes app or wherever, and jot down the top 7 concerns that your clients may have about seeing you. And it's a hard activity to do. You're like, man, 7. You can get the first 3, 4 maybe really quick. Price and location and service, like what do you offer, and you get into experience. Location's one of them, and then take a look at that list, and then take a look at your homepage and see how many of them you're addressing. Because most brands, the thing is what you have to know is not really a lot of people, they don't really care about you. They care about themselves and their concerns. Mm-hmm. So are we talking about their concerns, and are we talking about them in our content and on our website? And so if we can address their top, I would say at least 3 concerns on our homepage of our website, then we're doing something right. Because when somebody is searching for somebody to work with, a brand, 70% of their mind is made up before they call or inquire with anybody, right? So we got to know like what makes up that 70%. Like, how can we have an impact on that 70%? Well, it's what other people are saying about our brands first and foremost, because 90% of people read reviews before they visit a business, and they're going to look at your social media and they're going to do their homework on you, if even if they've been referred to you. And then yeah, like if we're properly addressing their concerns, talking about what's important to them, and making them feel okay with our content, that's going to build trust, and we're gonna get more clients. We're gonna get more bookings for sure.
I love this so much because now I want our salon leaders to listen to this whole thing because so that we can collaborate and brainstorm on that percentage scale that you just gave. Where does posting your work come in at? Because majority, I would say, of our social media, it's posts of work that they've done on clients.
Yeah, that's important, right? You have to be posting. But the way that social media algorithms work now is when you make a post, like you're not really getting in front of very many people. Not even your own followers see it.
Right.
And there's a saying that in social media, if you want to play, you got to pay. And unfortunately, that's kind of true. And so it's and that's why I think a lot of people are getting creative. You hear of like influencers out there, and but really the best influencers are nano influencers. And what I mean by that is regular people who live in your service area, who have friends and family who follow them, who also live in that service area. And if you can get them to talk about you, then yeah, just going back to what I said in the very beginning is that's your best type of post. But if you're creating content, and you're answering people's questions, and it's actually helpful content, people will engage with it, right? They'll comment on it, they'll like it, and the more engagement you get, then the more people will see that in the organic feed of any platform out there. And then what I would suggest is, if you have a business profile, right? I think a lot of people still use their personal kind of accounts on social media, which is like you can't do much of many cool things with a personal account. So I would suggest creating a business account, because you can see data analytics like, hey, man, this post really resonated well with people out there. I got a lot of engagement. It has a good amount of impressions. And then what I would do, then I would put money behind that post, because I know that it did well already on its own organically. I let the data tell me what I should be putting my money behind. And so if I have an organic, let's say I created a video and it's really helpful and it's doing well, I mean, you could put $10 behind a post like that, like let's say on Instagram, Facebook, and you'll get thousands of impressions of people who live in your service area. And so if somebody's just perusing on social media, you can say, all right, well, Google, this person who's perusing, they're female and they're between the ages of 35 and 55, or whatever your target market is. You can say, I want them to see this post, and they're going to see it and they're going to learn something, and then you're going to get a follow. And a follow and impression on your brand, that's awesome. A lot of people think, well, I didn't get any business. I didn't get any bookings. People didn't DM me right away for business. But social media is a long-term strategy. Like if they did follow you, keep creating content. And if you keep educating them, you're eventually going to get that business, because guess what? You're going to be educating them, and they're going to think that you know more and trust you. And they're going to slip into your DMs, and they're going to request an appointment, and they're going to book with you. But you can be smart too on your social media and have good call to actions. I see a lot of brands and people who just don't have very good call to actions at all. Like in their bios, like, well, how do I get a hold of you? How do you want me to contact you? Tell them, hey, DM me for appointments, or text me for appointments, or here's my email, however you want to do it, or just message me here. And do you have a link back to your website or to another social profile that people can go to? Like, are you asking, and making it clear how people can book with you. And so just the internet and social media is a game of inches. There's so many little things that if you pay attention and do over the long run, it'll benefit you. So sorry, there was a lot in there.
So good.
You've mentioned this word a few times, trust, and I know as leaders, there comes that time where we break trust, and as somebody that's building a brand or trying to market themselves, and they might have broken trust with their client. How would you recommend that they rebuild that trust once it's broke?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, admitting fault right away. If you've broken trust or done something, or somebody said something about you, or you got a negative review or something like that, like I think just admitting and being authentic and saying, yeah, that happened, and this is what I promise, and then getting other people to back you up and tell your story too. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think a lot of, because there's a lot of negativity out there. And I mean, if you're talking about leadership, that's like the if the quickest way to get out of a company is being negative. And most leaders, they're positive, and they have a really positive outlook on things, and they can turn something negative into a positive. And so, like, when I see negative comments or reviews come in for people, what you don't want to do is try to like resolve that in a response, because no matter what you say, it sounds like, you know what, you suck too. So you just you can, if somebody leaves, for example, a negative review, um, instead of saying sorry, I like to say thank you. Like, thank you so much for bringing this to my attention. Like, it's important to me that my clients are 100% satisfied and they feel like they didn't get a good experience or whatever this specific thing is. Like, come back in and I'll take care of you. Here's my cell phone number, here's my information, please get a hold of me. I want to talk to you. And the thing is negative comments and reviews can actually um, help businesses and brands make more money if you handle it the right way. Because think about what we do when we're searching for brands and we're investigating, and when we're reading about them and reviews, we typically look at the dirt first, right? We read the negative reviews first. We'll skim that first one, and then we're like, okay, what am I potentially getting myself into here? And if we read a negative review, and let's say we feel like it's a fair one, sometimes you can read between the lines, be like, dude, this person's crazy. Like, why are they getting mad over that? But if it's a fair review and they read it, and if they see that you've actually responded, which is important on Google's algorithm and social media platforms algorithm, like if you're engaging back, like, you're going to rank higher. And so if they see your response and you say, man, thank you for bringing this to my attention, and they see that you care and you validate their concern, and you want to get a hold of these people, like, that'll build a ton of trust. And that right there is worth more than, several, I always say 100 positive reviews. If you get, because what could happen is when you take care of that person, they could edit their comment, and it'll say this comment or review's been edited, and they'll tell about their experience. Like, look, I had this experience and it wasn't the best, but like, they brought me back in and took care of me. And that really, that right there is worth so much. Like, if you can get any kind of marketing for a brand, like turning a negative into a positive and people can see that, that's like pure gold.
Yeah. And I love the focus here is on trust, and because it can make or break a leader in their company as well too. So we're not only building trust, obviously, with the clientele, but more important, we're building trust with our team so that we can attract really great talent that actually stays with us. And so I want to stay on that for a moment, because we talk a lot about, with Sean and I, when we coach salon owners, we talk a lot about, how can you identify those people who have quit and haven't left yet? And what are you doing about it? Right. And so same as a client, they go on and they post a negative review. Well, did you not notice that they weren't happy? Like, let's start talking about what happened during that service, right? Same as your people, right? So how can you continue to build trust so that your team feels safe? You talked a lot about honesty and transparency of saying, you know what, up until 2022, I've sucked as a leader. And I want to promise you, obviously, I'm not going to change overnight, but I want to promise you that I'm going to work on my leadership. I just joined Sean and Tina's course. And so I want to work on my leadership, but being that, honest and open. So they're like, well, yeah, you are kind of a sucky leader. Like, can I share with you what's been troubling me? Because I'm getting ready to open my own salon suite. This is a huge trend right now, Chris. These, salons, because Sean and I, we only coach W-2 employee-based salon owners because we want to help them to scale and to build their companies into larger companies and work with their teams, right? And so we've been working on that process, but I truly believe, like Sean said, and you said, Chris, that the reason why it's not working is because we've broken trust with our team. So how do you build trust? What advice do you give that you've not only applied, but advice that you would give salon owners across the nation?
Yeah, I think a good leader lets other people lead too. Because when you let other people lead and make decisions, whether they succeed or fail, like you're showing that you trust them. And over and over, like if you can give somebody a little bit more responsibility and not get in their way and let them lead, and just be a trusted advisor almost in that role. And if let's say like they're going to fail, but you say, I support you in this, and they do something and it fails, like that's on them, and that's a great learning experience for them. But then they're like, man, they let me do that. And so I think giving people more opportunity to lead and take responsibility is important in leadership. And then too, like, you gotta lead by example. And I think little things matter. Like, if just doing the things that nobody wants to do. And if they can see you as a leader are doing those things, I think that builds a lot of trust and it shows good character. And so, and just in my experience, just running a business and working with people, you know, letting them take the lead in things and own whatever it is that they're doing, whether they're going to win or fail. It's a good experience for both of you.
Yeah, perfectly said.
So as we, kind of wrap it up here, before we forget, how can people get in touch with you, get in touch with your company, and talk a little bit about the services that you offer?
Yeah, so we Oozle Media, we're an online marketing company, and we specialize in working with local businesses who want to own their markets online. We build websites that not only rank well in Google, but actually convert the traffic that you're getting on your site. Like if you're getting traffic, you want it to turn into something, business for you. And so we build it in a way that it does that. We do ads, tons of ads, whether those are Google ads or ads all over social media, all the different platforms. We do search engine optimization. So all the Google stuff that I talked about, we do that for small to medium-sized to large businesses, monitoring, responding to reviews, and optimizing, your Google business profile and your website, making sure you're showing up in the search engines for the keywords that are going to actually bring you business. And then we actually have another company that we started 3 years ago. I'll change my background. It's beauty as a business. So beauty as a business is a curriculum company, and so we sell social media marketing curriculum. So and it's specific to beauty professionals. So if you want to know how to do well on Instagram, how to build a website, all the Google review stuff, Google business profile stuff that I'm talking about. If you want to know how to take great photos and video and edit them, you can check out our curriculum. You can buy our curriculum and you can watch our videos and take our quizzes and be social media marketing experts. through our curriculum. So that's kind of who we are. So yeah, beautyasabiz.com, or we're beautyasabiz, B-I-Z, on Instagram for Beauty as a Business, or just Google Oozle Media and go to our website, oozlemedia.com. But yeah, my email is C and then my last name, Linford, Linford, at Oozle Media, OOZLE media.com. Email me or check us out online. That's how you can get a hold of us.
That's incredible, Chris. I love this so much. What other advice would you give? So as I mentioned, Sean and I, we have this course as a 6-month course. So we stay focused first month on building foundation, which is exactly what we've been talking about, building a brand, right? And I mentioned earlier, I said, you can't like outwit your brand, so to speak, just by posting great content, but then secretively you're a jerk. So as a leader, what advice do you give to salon owners? And as you've led your team, obviously we talked about building trust and how to build it back if you've broken trust with your team. And Sean and I talk a lot about fixing your communication and what that might look like as well. And what happens is we coach a lot of salon owners that are also full-time behind the chair or even part-time, Chris. And what happens is they don't have time to spend with their team. And so they wonder why their team is leaving them. Well, they're not spending any time with them and helping them through the process. Like everything we're talking about, right? If you could handle all of these details, it's going to give them more freedom. They think they're going to have more freedom by working on their own, but instead they're going to have less freedom because now they've got to do it all. They got to pay all the bills. They got to do all the orders. They got to do all their own marketing. They have to hire you versus working for someone that hires you to work with them. And so talk a little bit more about what you're seeing as you're working with salon owners across the nation, Chris, of what we need to do to fix and change ourselves.
Process and systems.
Mhm.
I mean, just running a business, you have to have them. And don't forget about in those process and systems to carve out time for like little things that are important too. Being organized. Having process and systems helps you be organized. And because I'm a marketer, like having a strategy with your marketing, like and like a roadmap or a calendar of your posts and your content that you're going to be creating, and having a good marketing mix too. Like here's what I'm going to say about myself, and then here's what I'm going to get other people to say about us. And but yeah, just being in a salon and being a leader and an owner, like if you don't have process and systems, it's going to be really tough to run a business. And make sure that you carve out time in that plan, to really do the little things for your people. Make sure that that's documented and that's in there so you don't forget about it. And stick to your plan. Write it down. Have your playbook. And stick to your process and systems, and don't forget about the marketing mix and the little things with your people.
So true. And something kind of added to that. I was just coaching a leader today, and it was actually a leader of a nonprofit, because I also coach nonprofits, Chris, too. And she was saying how she just goes with the flow when she's having her meetings. I'm like, no, we can't go with the flow. We need process and systems even for our meetings, because could you imagine her poor staff? She's sometimes sitting in a meeting for an hour, sometimes it's 30 minutes. And could you imagine the task oriented team members that are like, oh my gosh, like you're breaking trust right there just by not having a specific agenda of what you're going to talk about. Bring yourself to the meeting and have great, understanding of learning about that person and listening to them. But, make sure you have process and systems just with the meetings that you're having. So let's strategize what we need to talk about today. Sean and I always start our meetings out with our leaders saying, what's the most important thing that we could discuss today? Because we want to get that off of their mind and center and build that trust. In the beginning, Chris, they used to say, I don't have nothing, because they were afraid to share anything, right? Until we started asking incredible questions like, okay, what do I as a leader need to stop doing, or what do I need to start doing? And so really developing great questions as a leader to be able to get them to give you more feedback through the process. So I love that you're talking about it's process and systems for everything, right? And so where do you see, as we start to finish this out, some of the systems that are missing besides marketing systems that you're talking about? Because we're going to add to ours already. So thank you for this, interview today. What else do you see that's missing as far as process and systems when it comes to salons?
I mean, you should have process and systems for everything. Anything that happens in your business, like you should already know what to do, and not just being reactionary, but knowing exactly, like, and it's documented, like you have it written down. It's a playbook, and something that's, when you're creating your process and systems, it's really important to think like, oh well, this just happened with one person. If you're small, but like create a system around it. Like think like, okay, if this was 10 people, how should we handle this and document it? Always thinking about like, if you're managing just one or two people, it's easy to kind of like not have like set
Right.
process and systems, because then you can just kind of handle it and take care of it. But as you grow, if you don't have process and systems, you're not going to last. And so think like, if you're small, okay, this just happened. What's our process and system? Think about, if this happened with 5 people, what's the best way to take care of that, and document it, and then have your playbook, and then share that playbook with people. Also, what's important too is in any business is man, you got to know your numbers, your financials, inside and out. Like your P&L and L and your balance sheet, like you just have to know that so well. So yeah,
Or you're done.
Yeah.
Or you're done. And the sad part about that is, that's the number one criteria as a business owner. And yet that is the last thing that people focus on. And it's so sad, because we're noticing as we coach these salon owners that a lot of suite owners come to us now. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I'll help you build a business. Let me see your income statements and your profit and loss statements right now. And they're like, we have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even know what that is. Right. So most suite owners don't even have numbers to show for it. Cause I'm like, really, are you really making more money as a suite owner versus being an employee? Like, can I look at your numbers? But they don't have anything to show me. And so this is like 101, business 101, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up. It's huge.
Yep.
Well, thank you again, Chris, for joining us. This was very informative, lots of information. Final piece of advice.
There's so much. I guess just because I'm a marketer, just going back to what was shared, just ask your clients to talk about you on their social media, because any business out there, it's sales. Especially the beauty industry. It's you entered a career of sales, and if you can just get people talking about you and getting to know their network, like you're going to be successful. And nobody's perfect, right? Like, if you have an idea about your financials, you have some process and systems, but if you can be good at providing a good experience and getting people to talk about you, you'll always have a flow of business. And I always say that sales hides sins. There's a lot of things going wrong in businesses, but man, if they're selling, it's like that stuff doesn't matter. We're rocking and rolling, we're getting sales. And so it's just about finding that balance, and trying to be better. And you can't change anything overnight. Like just pick something. There was a story of the British cycling team back in the early 2000s. They were like the worst in the world. Brands won't even like let them ride their bikes because their brand was so bad. The British cycling team, and they tried everything to improve. And then a coach came in and said, he listed out everything that has to do with riding a bike, like the mechanics to the training to just everything. And he listed it all out, and he said, we're going to improve 1%, just 1% in all of these things. And after a short amount of time, they're like the best in the world now at everything when it has to do with cycling. And so just think about that, like laying everything out and just I just have to improve 1% on all these little things. And then it's kind of bite size, a way to improve. So there you go.
Perfectly said.
Perfect.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate you so much, and everyone who joined us live today as well.
Okay, you got it. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you. Have a
Chris.
great day.